guys, it's me, Shawol 360, and I'm here to do a K-pop chat. I don't have any snacks this time. I'm out of snacks. I'm sorry. I was going to show you guys these Flips crackers I got from Nestle Toll House, but they're terrible, so I didn't want to show them to you. But this is just a K-pop chat because I just had a couple of K-pop things on my mind I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to do that here. So let's just get into it. So the three things I'm going to talk about. I'll just let you know ahead of time. 1, Red Velvet's new song. 2, I'll try to make sure I don't stick my middle finger up at you guys. 2, introducing people to K-pop, the New Generation series. And 3, an amazing podcast I heard on NPR that you guys should listen to, even though I'm sure you're thinking, K-pop, NPR, what the fuck? I don't think that goes together. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about Red Velvet. Okay, so Red Velvet's new song, One of These Nights. I'm absolutely obsessed with that song. Like, I woke up this morning and that song was on my brain and out of my mouth first thing when I woke up this morning. I don't know why. I don't get it, but that song is playing on a continuous internal loop in my mind. I love it. I listened to the album The Velvet. It's fantastic, and I know a lot of people aren't here for this mini album for a couple of different reasons. Number one of These Nights is not a very radio-friendly song, and I will give you that. I will give you that. It is not a radio-friendly song. It has a lot of different tempos. It has a really slow build-up. The video's kind of weird, even though it turns out the video is an homage to the Shawol Ferry incident, but it's a very clever, kind of surreal homage, which I'm proud of them for doing that. I think it was important to, do something regarding that for SM, especially because, they have a large, young Korean constituency that is their audience members, and it's good to, recognize what a big role the incident played in the lives of the people who are the fan base. But yeah, it's not very radio friendly. It's definitely the polar opposite of Dum Dum, and a lot of people just didn't get it. It's got a lot of dislikes. For having 3 million views, it's got like almost 8,000 dislikes, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it kind of is. But I think that what I enjoy about this song the most is that the song's not predictable, which I always find nice to have a song that after a couple of listens you get it, but maybe the first couple of times you don't, because it makes you want to get it. I like the song because to me it's a very R&B song, and I love R&B. A lot of people really aren't down with the R&B. They're down with the hip-hop, but not the R&B necessarily. And also, there's really bad line distribution in this song, and I have to say, I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. And I have to question, if SM didn't feel like Yeri was vocally strong enough to carry a significant portion of the songs, not maybe a full fifth, but at least, maybe a sixth of the song, why did they add her to Red Velvet? And this is not me hating Yeri or feeling like she should never have been in the group. I think she's a beautiful girl. I think choreography-wise, she does a great job. I've been watching the live stages for One of These Nights, and there's the solo between her and Seulgi that's just really gorgeous, and she pulls it off very well. But vocally, she's shaky live. She's shaky live, and I imagine they had to really work hard with her in the studio, and I just don't understand why SM would put her in this group, knowing that she couldn't contribute a really strong vocal presence. Because, already people were not here for adding a new member after we've already had 2 videos come out. And then to add this new member after you have these videos come out, and the member gets hardly any musical time at all. A lot of people were like, well, then what was the point? Was this just to make sure you had a 5-girl group? Is that what this is? That once FX looked like it was going to be 4, you wanted to make sure you had a 5-member group? But yeah, I feel bad about the line distribution. That is the one thing that I have to say I was very sad and disappointed about. But at the same time, if she can't do it, she can't do it. And maybe there's something else about Yeri that we're not getting that we will get later on. I don't know what that could possibly be. I have no idea. But maybe there is something that SM sees in her, besides her being beautiful, that they want as a part of this group that we just don't quite grasp. And I'm waiting for SM to show me, because honestly, when it came to Red Velvet, I wasn't here for Red Velvet. When Red Velvet first came out with Hot Penis, I just didn't like that song. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I didn't like that song. I don't like that song. I don't think I'll ever like that song. It is an earworm. And I can give it that much. It is catchy, but I just don't like that song. I don't like that song. Be Natural I liked, but it was a cover. It wasn't really a Red Velvet original song. But then they came out with Automatic. And that got to me. That, I will admit, that got to me. And then they came out with The Red. That album is fantastic. I mean, I did my top 3 of 2015. If I had done a top 10, that would have been in my top 10. Of course, my top 3 for 2015 was really rough. Like, I didn't even put Shiny in my top 3. That's how tough 2015 was. There was just so much brilliant music that came out. But yeah, I mean, they really did. They came back with quality, and I really have a grudging respect for Red Velvet. And now I see what I didn't see before, and by me having faith in SM to show it to me, they did show it to me, but I just really need them to show me the Yeri thing. I need to see it, because right now I don't get it. But that's what I'm thinking about. Number 2, what I was talking about, the introducing friends to K-pop, new generation. So for years, people have always said, if you're going to introduce somebody to K-pop, you should start with like Big Bang. Because Big Bang is the international face of K-pop. And that's just the truth. Nobody wants you to start somebody's K-pop experience with Gangnam Style. Nobody wants that. If you're an actual fan of K-pop, that's not where you want to begin, because it gives people the idea that K-pop is a joke genre, that every video is going to be about, silly dances and silly plot points and premises, and that the music isn't like melodic and well thought out and carefully planned. And we know that most K-pop is. Most K-pop, the concepts are really well thought out. There's lots of focus on choreography. There's a lot of care taken with the look of videos. And I don't think that Gangnam Style is at all representative of K-pop. So for a lot of people, the go-to was Big Bang or 2NE1. And I get that. But the go-to that people used for Big Bang back in the old days was Fantastic Baby. And the go-to for 2NE1 was I'm the Best. Well, those songs are years old now. And we've got a whole new roster of rookies that are out there killing it. They are the faces of K-pop now. So my question to you guys, and maybe you can leave a comment down below what you think about it, but if you were introducing somebody to K-pop now, like 2016 era, and especially if you wanted to give them a group that they could grow with, who would you introduce them to? I mean, I have my short list of people I would introduce them to. I would definitely introduce them to EXO, because how can you not introduce somebody to EXO if you're talking about K-pop? I would introduce them to BTS, because BTS is growing white hot right now, so get on it, get to know it. When it comes to girl groups, I'm torn, because I want to say G-Friend, but G-Friend, you have to understand who the person is you're introducing the music to, because G-Friend is kind of what a lot of Westerners stereotype Asian women as. Very, innocent and kind of childlike and Lolita-esque, and that's not, if you're not able to get past kind of the schoolgirl look, you'd miss a lot of the nuance of G-Friend. G-Friend is actually a very strong dance unit. Like, they're very acrobatic in their dances. Their vocals are incredibly strong. The songs are extremely consistent. Like, there's a lot of strength behind the G-Friend image. So, I mean, you'd have to know the person you're dealing with and know if they're the kind of person that would stereotype, or if they would, like, really try to understand the music. Other girl group I might go with, XID, I think is a great introduction, because their stuff is cool and it's catchy and it's sexy and it's fun. I'm trying to think of another girl group I would go with. I don't know. A lot of the rookie girl groups were there. Oh, Twice. Absolutely. I would probably go with Twice. Even though Twice is a rookie group, they don't have a big discography. I think they're a great place to start, because I think their debut video is really fun, and I think if you're a Westerner and you caught that song, it does have kind of a jokey premise, the whole zombie school thing, but at the same time, you've got strong choreography, you've got a really wonderful, catchy song, you're really getting a big dose of the essence of K-pop. So probably I would go with Twice, I would go with G-Friend, I would go with XID. For the guys, I definitely would go with BTS, EXO, probably 17 and Monsta X. I don't know if I would go with Monsta X right away, but definitely 17, because 17 to me is kind of an example of where K-pop seems to be headed with these huge groups. And so I would probably try to get them used to the idea of a huge group. But yeah, that's how I think that you would introduce somebody to K-pop now. Oh, and Mamamoo. If you are not used to K-pop and you want an introduction to K-pop, I would introduce them to Mamamoo, because I just think Mamamoo is the entire package. Cute videos, great vocals, cool choreography, even though there's not a bunch of choreography, cool choreography, and then just, quality music, flat out quality music. And then also, I guess the question is, like, genre-wise, what would you recommend for somebody who is new to K-pop? If it's somebody who really likes, Fifth Harmony and that kind of thing, maybe you'd introduce them to AOA. If it's somebody who's more into rock, maybe you'd introduce them to Day 6. If it's somebody who's really into hip-hop, maybe you'd introduce them to Jay Park. So, I mean, those are all questions as well, but we're just going for, like, the generic person who likes everything. These are the things we introduce them to. So I would love to hear your comments on that in the comment section down below. And the last thing I was going to tell you about is a radio program I listen to on NPR. So as you guys know, I'm an old lady, so I listen to old lady things. I don't watch television, like, I just don't. I either spend time on the internet, or I read books, or I listen to the radio. And when I listen to the radio, I listen to NPR, and there is a show on NPR called Radio Lab. And Radio Lab did an episode dedicated to K-pop paparazzi. And you guys, you have to listen to this podcast. I would never recommend for you guys to listen to NPR, because I know there's a big generational gap between us, and a lot of you guys just wouldn't have the patience for it, perhaps, or maybe it would be topics that you're not really interested in. But this program, for me, really made me feel like I was being educated about some things about the K-pop paparazzi that I didn't understand before, and that I'm really grateful to be informed of now. Like, one of the things about this program that really struck home to me is how much K-pop paparazzi ruined SHINee. Like, just absolutely ruined SHINee, and for no other reason than for selfish reasons. So let me give you a little backstory on this. Let's have a chat. Okay. So the radio program is like a 30-minute radio program, maybe a little bit longer, and it talks about the rise of the K-pop paparazzi, because prior to the incident with Jonghyun and Shin Se-kyung, there was none of this, like, hanging out at night stalking celebrity stuff. Like, there had been scandals before, like Baek Ji-young, the singer of all the OSTs, she had a huge scandal about 20 years ago where she had a sex tape that leaked of her and her manager. But the paparazzi didn't find that tape. The tape was leaked by the manager or one of his associates or something, because she tried to leave the label, but they didn't, like, film it themselves. But prior to, sorry about that, guys, I had somebody trying to call me. But prior to this incident with Jonghyun, the paparazzi didn't used to camp out outside of idols' apartments to track them down to try to get these photographs and stuff. And it was a guy, I think it was like Mr. Lee or something, who worked at the Sports Dispatch, whatever it's called. He had been studying Western media, and he had been studying, like, The Sun in the UK and TMZ in the United States. And in Korea, the media is very tightly controlled. Like, you can't come out and say bad things about politicians. If a politician has a mistress, that's never going to get printed, because that kind of stuff can't happen. So he was trying to look for a way to kind of free up the press. And he noticed that, like, the stories that get a lot of traction are these celebrity scandal stories. And he felt like, okay, well, I can start our free press movement here by starting with celebrities. And so they had heard about Jonghyun and his girlfriend. They had been dating maybe for a couple of months, and they had heard that every evening around like 3 o'clock they go for a walk together. And they had been stalking the couple for a while and had gotten these pictures of them and decided to publish this. And they didn't publish it because they hated Jonghyun. They didn't publish it because they hated this girl. They published it because they wanted to see what would happen if they were to start doing these kind of like expose style stories, how the public would react. And the podcast talks about like what happened with these two, how it like ruined everything, and how it became the start of this whole, you know, following people in the night and taking these explicit pictures, and, you know, the growth of this K-pop stalkerazzi. And And I was just like, I was so angry. I was so angry because, you know, contrary to popular belief, SHINee, while popular, still has never quite recovered from that whole incident. And Jonghyun especially, he's worked very hard to reclaim not only his position kind of in public, but also to kind of pull himself away from K-pop a little bit, if you will, to try to become an artist. And I think part of the reason he's tried to make himself an artist is because I think he was really hurt by the fact that he was targeted. And that he wasn't targeted because he did anything wrong, but because somebody saw him as nothing but an idol. You know, he's disposable. This is a disposable human being that you can just use their life to, you know, prove a point to the rest of the world or whatever else. And I think he's really tried hard to make a name for himself as an artist, as a songwriter, you know, because he's trying to move away from that kind of anonymity of being just an idol. Also, if you haven't noticed, which you probably don't because it doesn't come up very often, but SHINee doesn't do a lot of variety, and especially Jonghyun, he hardly ever does television. Hardly ever, because he really hasn't recovered. Prior to this whole getting caught with a girlfriend type thing, Jonghyun and Onu used to be on variety all the time. All the time, to the point that people were kind of almost exhausted by Jonghyun because he's very loud and kind of, I wouldn't say obnoxious, but kind of boisterous. After this, they pulled him out of activities. They really didn't do a lot of promotion. You know, I think the next big comeback after all this might have been Sherlock. I'm not sure because the timeline is kind of iffy, but like they spent a good amount of time kind of out of the spotlight. This is when Taemin really had to grow the fuck up because he had to kind of fill in for Jonghyun during some of these vocal moments. But yeah, hearing the episode, I was just floored. I was floored that somebody would play with someone's life like that. I was incensed. But then they talked about how things have kind of turned for the paparazzi too, and how things kind of turned with the whole Ailee scandal. If you guys don't remember, Ailee, she is Canadian. She's not from Korea. Like, she is Korean, but she wasn't raised in Korea. So she is still actually like working on her Korean. But when she was in Canada, she had met a guy, I guess, and he said that he was a talent scout for a modeling agency and that he needed her to take some pictures that he could use to see if her body type would work for this modeling. And that she had taken these pictures, sent them to the guy, found out it was a scam, and had later on went to the police about this scam because, you know, she was worried about her nudes being out there because she wanted a career in entertainment. And she had shared these photos that she had taken for the scam artist with her boyfriend. And the reason she had shared these photos with her boyfriend was to let him know, hey, this is what happened to me. These are the kind of photos this guy has. I'm worried that they're going to get out there. What should I do? Do you think these photos are going to ruin me? And this is before she got famous, you know, but she's like, is this going to keep me from being able to progress in my career? Her boyfriend's like, you know what, girl, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. I got you. Well, they dated for a while. Then they broke up. Her boyfriend went on to be like one of the co-founders of All Kpop, I think, or a CEO at All Kpop, something big at All Kpop. Well, anyway, the same guy who started the whole scandal with Jonghyun, he left the sports team or whatever, and he's the one who started Dispatch, which you've all probably heard of Dispatch before. And he actually had recorded the conversation of when he was approached by this guy to obtain Ailee's naked photographs. And he actually turned them down. Like, he's like, no. Yeah, we do a lot of like scandal type stuff, but we do our own investigations. We don't just publish nudes of folks. That's not what this is. Especially because the guy said, like, I was her ex-boyfriend and these are her nudes. So, like, it was like some revenge porn type shit. Anyway, they turned it down. And then, of course, as you all well know, All Kpop published the photos. And really, it changed everything in terms of, like, All Kpop. Like, I still read articles here and there from All Kpop, but All Kpop has really been trying to push this whole buy from All Kpop, shop at All Kpop thing. I've never given them one red cent. I don't click on any of the links on their pages. I exit out of all their advertisements. I will never give them a red cent of mine because I felt like what they did was absolutely shady. It made no sense. It was beyond disrespectful and hurtful and an invasion of privacy, and it was some real low-life scum of the earth type shit. But they talked about how, like, days later, after the nudes are out there in the public, they have an awards program, and Ailee is up for an award, and they talked about how, she went up on stage after they announced that she had won, and, she was really brave about the whole thing, and that people gave her a standing ovation. And, for those of us who are into K-pop, we know that Ailee's career really hasn't suffered for her having this scandal. If anything, it's made her a big name. She's one of the few solo artists that's known in K-pop. It's like Ailee, IU, Zion T, Crush. Like, there's not a lot of solos in K-pop right now. It's all about the group. And she's doing it on her own, and she's well known for it. But yeah, they were saying that, they kind of looked at the West for inspiration at first for doing this paparazzi thing. And then they saw kind of like how far we took it. And because Korea is still a very different society from the West, they're like, we'll take it so far, but we're not going to take it that far. If we're going to expose something, we want to expose something that we think is, unbecoming, but we're not going to expose somebody's vulnerability. And I was like, okay, cool. But, it was just a very interesting thing to listen to, and I definitely recommend it to you all. They even talked about the Girls' Generation Black Sea, which is a thing that my friend Angels 2014 talks about all the time. And a lot of people, they don't really know the history of it. They talk about the history of that and how influential fans are in them being able to provide this kind of service. How really it's the fans that are the reason why they even decided to start this whole paparazzi program in Korea. And I just feel like I owe Jonghyun an apology for letting the media from my country do this to him. And I owe him an apology as a K-pop fan for even, wanting to hear about this whole thing. Because, of course, I've looked at the pictures before. I never thought anything was wrong with Jonghyun dating. I never have. He's, 25, 26? That's what guys do, That's what you're supposed to do. I never thought anything was bad from it. The pictures, they were, really sweet, nice pictures of a couple who were enjoying each other's company and just trying to be close. But yeah, it was very enlightening and also very tragic and also very interesting, and I hope that you all will check it out. I'm going to leave a link down below to the page where the podcast is. I hope you guys will listen to it, spread it around. Of course, it's not going to appear on All K-Pop because All K-Pop, they're talked about pretty bad in this podcast, even though I'm surprised it wasn't mentioned on Soompi because somebody from Soompi was interviewed for this podcast and they actually have a speaking part on it. But yeah, I hope you guys listen to it, and I hope you enjoyed this almost 25-minute ramble. This is what I do. This is what this channel is for. This channel is for me just to talk to you guys like I would talk to my friends, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And like I said, if you do decide to listen to the podcast and you enjoy it, please spread the link to everyone you know, because I think it's very important that people know this kind of stuff. A lot of time when people think about K-pop, they only think about the glitz and the glamour and the fun and the fashion, and they don't really think about, how much of these artists' lives are sacrificed in the pursuit of this image that fans request of them, and just kind of the dirty, shady shit that happens behind the scenes, and what a tool our idols are used as when it comes to other people's motivations and machinations. So I just think that everybody should listen to it. But that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you later. Bye. Oh, and side note, thank you for the wonderful, wonderful response to my last video, the thank you video. I was really nervous about putting that out there, and I looked a fucking mess. The screen capture was not kind to me. I looked crazy in the screen capture, but I've always strived to be super honest with you guys because, that's the way I like to operate in life, I'm not a rich person. Yeah, I own a lot of K-pop, and, it may seem like I'm throwing money away here, left, there, and right, but that's not true. I'm just like you are. This whole car situation hit me in a bad time, timing-wise, between paychecks, which for any of you who have parents out there who've ever heard them talk about it, being between paychecks is a dire, desolate place to be. And, being out here by myself, if I wanted somebody to take me to the store because I'm out of allergy medicine, I have to try to find a ride because I don't have any family near me. So, not having my car is a big deal. I'm lucky that I'm able to walk to work. That was the one transportation need that I didn't have. But, everything else, it just sucked. It just sucked. when I go to get my car, I'll probably spend close to $600 that day because I'm going to spend the $500 on the deductible, but I'm also going to have to rent a car to drive up to go get my car. That's another $100 on top of that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it was a big monetary blow at a time when I really wasn't able to get it. It just hit me in a bad time. But so far, I've raised close to $250. Now, that's not taking away shipping. I've had to spend quite a bit of money on shipping. So probably after accounting for the shipping, I've probably actually raised about $180, full disclosure. But yeah, I've actually done okay. I had a couple of people gave me more money than I requested, which was awesome. You didn't have to do that, but thank you. But yeah, I've done okay, and it definitely eased off some of the burden. And I had some savings, and putting those all together, I'm gonna make it. So I'm really grateful, you guys. Thank you again, and I don't know, just thank you so much. I will talk to you on another video. Bye.